Houston. Houston, we have a problem. DJ Apollo has landed. I repeat, DJ Apollo has landed at Hipmix 88.9 WEIU.
Welcome to the Tales of Music and Film podcast. I am DJ Apollo, and I'm joined with
Aiden.
And I'm super excited. I got my awesome friend Aiden back on for another episode. Preston could not make it today due to his busy schedule, so today it's just you and me, Aiden.
Oh, yes, and we will still make this a very memorable episode.
Oh, yeah, very. So we decided to change film topics today. We had another topic that we were going to go over, but we decided to save it for another time because the movie we were going to cover we haven't seen in a while, so we thought it'd be good to rewatch it first to get a refresh. So we sat around and thought of a movie that we've seen recently that we've seen a bunch that we know very well. It's something more like laid back, like something like more fun, not so serious.
And that we can talk about for hours and hours on end.
Exactly. So the movie we decided to go with was Ghostbusters. And Ghostbusters is one of my new favorite movies of all time.
New favorite?
Yeah, because here, I'll explain the history for you. So my dad raised me an 80s kid. Like, all my favorite movies growing up was like Back to the Future, The Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters, the Indiana Jones movies, Lost Boys, you name it, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, all those 80s classics. So naturally, I watched the first two Ghostbuster films all the time. But then when I got around, 13, 14, I just quit watching them. And then when I got here to Eastern, when I transferred from Lakeland Community College last year, me, Aiden, our friend Drew, and our friend Mark, the four of us rewatched Ghostbusters Afterlife together because I actually went to go see that in the theater, and that got me back in the series again. Then Aiden and I rewatched the first movie again, and then I got reinvested in the franchise again. Now I'm like a huge fan. So it's like I grew up with them, took a break, now I'm back in again.
Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. But then I am nowhere near the same. I first watched this movie when I was 6 years old, and I have been hooked on the whole series ever since, except for the god-awful 2016 reboot.
Yeah, like we're not even going to get into that whole thing, but if you know, you know. So so Ghostbusters, it's honestly though, it's the perfect topic to talk about because it's been really popular lately. Like it's been confirmed recently that Ghostbusters Afterlife is getting a sequel.
Awesome.
And Jason Reitman will be directing it again, just like he directed Afterlife. So I'm very excited to see where they're going to take the story. And it's also been announced that there's going to be a brand new animated Ghostbusters show on Netflix. What it is, we do not know, but it has been confirmed. So there's a lot of Ghostbuster projects coming out, and on top of that, we have the brand new Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed video game.
I don't know how I feel about that, just because, I don't see Ghostbusters working as a first-person shooter game. Like, I'll always think the perfect example of the Ghostbusters game was the 2013 Ghostbusters game on the Xbox 360 that got remastered in, I believe, 2021. Just because it truly took in, the lore. It felt like a true sequel to Ghostbusters 2. And just, it was such a good project. So, but I don't really think Ghostbusters will work well as a first-person shooter game.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, though. I mean, it looks interesting. What's cool is, so the video game that Aiden's talking about is the 2009 Ghostbusters video game, and it brought back all four of the original actors, along with the actor who played Peck in this movie, and they also brought back the guy who voiced the villain in Ghostbusters 2. I believe, was his name Ego?
Let me see. Let me just pull up the cast list for Ghostbusters 2. Ego was the character, but what was the actor's name? Peter McNulty.
Yeah, he voiced the villain in that, and they got him back for the video game, too.
Wait, no, that was the... Peter McNulty, he played the human villain who was communing with the painting.
Oh, okay.
The man who placed him was William von Homburg.
Oh, okay. Cool. And back on the video game, so Dan Aykroyd, who plays Ray Stantz, he actually confirmed that the video game is actually Ghostbusters 3. After the first two Ghostbuster films, they had original plans to do a third movie. It was supposed to come out back in the early 90s, but then it went through a lot of production problems and never got greenlit. And Bill Murray wasn't really keen on coming back to play Peter Venkman again.
Well, that was just Bill being Bill.
Apparently he didn't have a whole lot of fun making part 2. He thought that this role was going to be a one and done thing. He wasn't thinking that they were going to do a whole trilogy.
And it was also around the time Bill had his falling out with Harold.
Yeah, which happened literally a year after Ghostbusters 2. They were filming Groundhog Day, and that film production ended their friendship due to a lot of
personal issues.
Yeah.
I believe Harold's daughter and Bill both describe, and just people who were witnesses, basically just Bill wasn't as happy at the fact that Harold was writers and producers of a lot of the projects that Bill worked on, and I believe it was that he felt like he was getting pity work and whatnot.
Oh, sure.
And he felt like he wasn't being respected.
Yeah, and so that's the history behind that. So they tried over the years throughout the 90s to get a part 3. We almost got one in the late 90s, but then, a lot of other stuff happened again. And so that's when they made the video game in 2009, which brought back all the original cast members, and they all voiced themselves. And they used one of the stories that they had wrote that was going to be Ghostbusters 3. So I think that's pretty cool, though. So we got a third movie. It's just in the form of a video game instead of a movie.
Which was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I have yet to play it still.
I own it. We can play it one of these days.
Yeah, sure. I would love to. And what's a nice thing they did, so they actually remastered it for the PS4. During the opening credits, they have a rest in peace to Harold Ramis, because he passed away right before the remaster was released.
No. Harold passed away in 2014.
Well, yeah, because the remaster came out in 2014.
No, the original came out in 2009.
Yeah.
The remaster that came out for the Xbox One and the PS4 came out in 2020.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was 2014.
No. It didn't come out till recently, and it was a big deal when it came out, because it was it's one of those things a beloved childhood game that you can no longer play because it's on an obsolete console gets added into current gen consoles.
Sure. So that is the video game. So Ghostbusters, the original. So obviously, most of the fan base considers this to be the best one out of the 3 stories, because this movie just holds up extremely well. The thing I always took from this, there were dozens of concepts in this movie that you wouldn't think would work, but somehow it does.
I always like to think about with the original film. So if you ever want more details on the behind the scenes and what went into the making of this film, watch on Netflix the docuseries The Movies That Made Us. They did an episode on Ghostbusters, and there was a lot of work. For instance, the final film product that we got was nowhere near what Dan Aykroyd originally wrote when he first pitched the idea.
Yeah, because I remember watching videos about originally it was about a team set in the future and
distant future. Ghostbusters were a dime a dozen and whatnot.
Yeah, weren't they Marines kind of in a way fighting ghosts or something?
No, it wasn't exactly that. I believe Dan they describe in the episode of the docuseries, he describes they're just plumbers and whatnot. You have a ghost? Oh, call the Ghostbusters. I need you to get this ghost out of my house.
Right.
But after it got released, Dan, Harold, and David Reitman was the director?
The director is Ivan Reitman.
Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ivan, Harold, and Dan spent a summer at Harold's beach house where they were constantly rewriting it and switched it to the film concept that we got for the final product.
Yeah, and that's very awesome. Harold Ramis, though, rest in peace to him. And we just gotta say, I have to say this: that man is missed dearly. He was my favorite. Egon Spengler, who he played in this story, Egon was my favorite Ghostbuster, and Harold was just a genius. I loved the movies that he was involved in. To say he was a great writer was an understatement.
Yeah, like, I do agree Harold was one of the better Ghostbusters, but I was always tied between him and Ray, played by Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Like, I was always torn between them. Like, not to dox anything on Bill, but just, he definitely more felt like just the character who's there. It's just like, he's just here for the fun of it. He doesn't actually believe in the science compared to Egon and Ray.
Yeah, that's the way his character is. He's like, I mean, and afterwise, if you watch an after credits scene, Winston, played by
Ernie Hudson.
He's talking with the lady who answered the phone calls.
Janine, played by Annie Potts.
Yes, and he says that, he was giving off these funny nicknames to describe the four members, and he described Venkman as, the cool one.
Yeah, like, that is basically a way to describe it. Like, it's also kind of like the joke, they do all the work, he gets all the credit. Like, he gets together with Dana, he gets to be with Sigourney Weaver in the end.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing. And so to go into some history for you, so the movie was released on June 7th, 1984. The director was Ivan Reitman, and it featured the song we all know and love, Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And who was the artist who wrote that? I do not remember off the top of my head.
Yep, Google is our best friend.
Exactly.
Ray Parker Jr.
That's right. And, dude, this song is just like, what else can you say about it? It's like...
Like, it's so catchy and it was just so memorable and whatnot. It's like, it's just a song that, like, any single note of any single point in the song can play, and it's just instantly recognizable.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like, you don't even have to hear the beginning or you hear Ghostbusters get said. You just hear a note, and there it is. You know it's Ghostbusters.
Exactly. That's the thing I loved about Afterlife. They waited to use that song till the very end when the credits started rolling. Like, once I heard those first few notes, I'm like, yep, I know what's coming.
Yeah, and even for that movie, like, I know we're not really talking about it, but with that, it's just like the whole film, the Ghostbusters are gone, but it ends with the Ghostbusters finally returning.
Yeah, and that was the best thing they could have done. And Afterlife just really shows you the impact that that the original had. Like, the original it had such a huge impact. And by the way, its budget was $30 million, and it grossed over $295.2 million. So it was a huge success. And I'm trying to think of a good thing where to start. I mean, like, so Aiden, I got a question for you. So overall, how do you think the story holds up?
Oh, the story holds up great, mainly because it has like a fun villain and like a series of events. But what the base story is, it's a going into business story. It's the
honestly,
Ghostbusters being founded. They get up, they become superstars. They're overworked, and then they manage to save New York City from Gozer. And like, the story, honestly, if you have to think, it's really bare bones, but that's not a bad thing in any way, because it's not a film that's trying to be deep and complex. Like, there is an element of that, since Dan Aykroyd, when he wrote this, like, he's a big supporter and advocate for things in, like, sorcery, ghosts, witchcraft, warlocks, and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is all about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Ghostbusters was his passion project to really put that stuff into the film. And it's still there. It's just, like, it's not as overpowering as it was in the original script, and that's what makes it more relatable. And then every character is just so memorable, at least of the main people. So the four Ghostbusters, Dana, Janine, Lewis, and Gozer. Then you have the fun entries of Peck and all the other side characters. Each one, even if they're not on screen very long, they're all memorable.
Very. And I gotta admit, though, my favorite part about the story was just the Ghostbusters themselves, the way they are around each other. I just found it to be so funny. It's like, The first like 10 minutes of this, when Ray, Egon, and Peter are at the library, the way they act around each other, it's like it takes me back to me and my friends in like high school and stuff.
Just high school, not me abusing you here at school.
And here too. So yeah, high school and here, of course, but you know what I mean. And it gives you the vibes of like just three friends on a job together or something.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to describe it.
And I just like the way the banter, the way they bounce off each other. Like I love the way the characters get introduced. Like it's just so funny to me. The first time we see Egon, like one of the first things you hear him say, Peter's like, "Hey Egon, remember the time you tried to drill a hole through your head?"
That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me.
It's just like that's like one of the first things we hear. It's just like I love this guy already. You know?
Yeah, it's just like how those opening interactions between everyone just truly reveals like Peter is naturally the one. He's the cool one. He's just there to mess around, really.
Yeah, and Egon's the brains. He's the one who takes this very seriously.
Well, both he and Ray take it seriously, but the difference is, like, Egon is very into, like, the science of it all. Ray is just is the excited one about everything. Oh, my God, these ghosts, they're truly real. The science, the history of it working.
Yeah, I just like the way Ray is so, like, deeply involved in this. Like, when they see the library ghost for the first time, that he just has this huge grin. He's just like a fortoso admiration, and it's real.
Yeah, like Egon is a bit like just stunned. He's like, "Oh, this is interesting." Venkman's just like, "Oh Lord, this is real." And Ray's like, "Oh my God, I can actually see this!"
Yeah, he's just freaking out. I like in the background, if you pay attention, when Egon and Ray decide that Peter is the one who should walk up and try to talk to her.
It's just they don't even say Venkman go out; they just look at him,
and he's just like, fine, I'll do it. And in the background, Ray's like taking all these pictures of the ghost as Peter's walking towards it. It's so funny. He's just like getting all these different angles.
Ray's trying to get as much information as humanly possible on it.
Yeah, and I love the slime scene. I like the part right before they get into that particular area, Ray's just like, wait, like, listen, you smell that? Like,
yeah, you know, like it's one of those fun mistakes in the writing and in the scene that you don't think about, but it's so funny.
I love that, and
like you'll just hear that in my house, like whenever my mom's cooking. Me and my dad will believe in something when like she'll be cooking bacon in the morning. You hear the sizzle as the bacon goes on, and I'll just say, "Listen, you smell something?"
Oh man, yeah. See, that right there is a prime example. Just like the dialogue is so good to where, like, you know, memorable stuff like that happens. It just shows you like how much this film means to people. And I love the whole story of them going into their own business. And I loved the scene where so after they get kicked out of the university they're working at, they decide to go into business for themselves. And I like the scene where the three of them, this lady is showing them the firehouse, which they will eventually get. And I didn't realize this until like recently, but if you pay attention, Egon and Peter are trying to act like they're not that interested. They're trying to get the lady to bring the price of the building down so they can get it for a cheaper price. And then
Ray just goes, "Does this pole still work?"
Yeah.
Comes down the fireman pole, just like, "It's great, it's perfect, let's buy it."
Yeah, I had no I was watching that scene on YouTube and I was reading through the comments section and somebody pointed that out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never realized that.
Yeah, no, because like it was an ideal location and whatnot. It's just they're trying Egon and Venkman are trying to just point out all the flaws in it so they can get a lower price so they're not wasting more of their money.
Yeah, like that's funny. And my other favorite scenes, a little later on where Ray gets the car. He drives up and Peter's like, okay, what does it need? What needs to be fixed on it? Ray's like new shocks, new rear end, new tires, new interior. Just the list goes on. And then Peter's like, how much did you pay for it? 4,800. Peter's facial expression when Ray says that.
Well, he said only 4,800, and it's a big fixer. It's just like Ray's just so excited he doesn't actually think about money when that's all Venkman's thinking about.
Yeah, that was pretty funny to me. And dude, while we're on the subject of the car, Ecto-1, one of the most famous cars in film history.
Only rivaled by the Mystery Machine.
And the DeLorean in Back to the Future, I would say.
Well, I was going off of ghost stuff and whatnot.
Oh, true. So if we're comparing this to other ghost stories, yeah, right behind the Mystery Machine.
Yeah,
or
so if I know I pull up to a building and I see the Mystery Machine and Ecto-1, I'm running the other way.
Yeah, it's like, it's bad when both of them are there. Oh, on top of that, you see the Impala from Supernatural.
Oh, God. Though I don't count Supernatural that much because Supernatural just...
Yeah, but you gotta admit, though, the 68 Impala, it's a pretty iconic car.
It's a good car. Would I happily steal that from the set? Yes.
Yes.
And if I saw that in the parking lot, would I steal it? Yes. Same with Ecto-1. Same with the Mystery Machine.
Dude, Ecto-1, dude, I imagine if we got a chance to drive it just once.
You mean like Finn Wolfhard in Afterlife, just driving it over the cornfield, launching it into the air and managing to land and drift that sucker?
Yeah, dude, that whole scene, it's like, I'm watching that like, yeah, if I was given a chance to drive Ecto-1, that's me, Yep. Oh, it's so awesome. I love the way the car's introduced. The firehouse doors open. You see it. The engine's going. You see all the lights and everything.
Yeah.
What an entrance.
Then right when it pulls out, you see all of it in its glorious fashion.
With that famous siren, it's so... Yeah. It's so awesome.
Could they replace fire alarms in our school with that?
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, especially next Tuesday when they are testing the alarms.
Yeah.
First Tuesday of the month.
Every Tuesday. And so we talked about the cars. So what do you think would be the next part in the story? Like, I would say the next part we could go over is when they go on their first ghost hunt at the plaza. At
the Crown Plaza. Well, like, the funnier things that I love, just because I'm going to be bringing up a lot of that series episode of Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's fine.
I love it.
That's our video of reference for this.
Like, it's that and Ghostbusters, because it's also, like, I just love just how much it revealed of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So, for one, like, how much Ghostbusters was split between New York, filming in New York and L.A.,
yeah.
Like, for one, the exterior of the firehouse was filmed in New York, but the interior... was in L.A.
Yeah, I actually did not know this until recently. I watched a video.
Yes, and like, the exterior Ghostbusters firehouse is an actual condemned building now. So, like, when Ehan says when they're looking at it, I think this building should be condemned. Well, it has been. Then the interior and exterior one, which was almost identical that they have in L.A., it's still operational as a firehouse nowadays.
Yeah, and what's cool is like the firehouse in New York has become like basically a historical monument at this point. Like,
well, no, it's not really a historical monument because, like I said, it's a condemned building. The monument one is in L.A.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's like every time people go, they get their picture in front of it.
Oh, yeah, because the one in L.A. has, like, it's literally called the Ghostbusters Firehouse.
Yeah, I love that they accepted that, the history of the building. They even have, like, if you go inside, they have an entire Ghostbusters section.
Oh, yeah.
Of, like, stuff.
Okay, but then where I was going back to is that Crown Plaza is actually a hotel in L.A.,
Oh, okay. I actually did not know they filmed that much in LA.
Oh, yeah, no, like, it was almost split down the middle, where it was, like, a lot of the exterior shots and whatnots, like, at least ones that showed, like, landscape and marks of New York were filmed in New York. But then, on top of that, a lot of the stuff was also filmed in LA. Like, I could even go into the splitting of between the library and whatnot, like the basement section of the library. That's not New York. That's the LA Public Library.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the upstairs interior and the exterior, yeah, that's the New York Public Library. But the basement was the LA.
Oh, okay.
But then Crown Plaza, LA. then back to your original question on like what you think of the job. That is absolutely amazing of just like how they do not know what in the name of God they are doing.
It's so funny. Just they walk in, Peter. Hey, has anyone seen a ghost?
It's just like
not subtle at all.
Well, subtlety is not Venkman's strong suit.
Oh, gee, you think?
But yeah, then there's the splitting up. Like when they go upstairs, they're looking around. It's like, where's that ghost? Maid card. Oh my God! Shoot! Shoot! Shoot!
And that poor lady. You know, I actually found this out when they filmed that scene. When she's crawling out, she's like, "What the heck are you doing?" That's not acting. Apparently, I think they did it earlier than what she was expecting, and she wasn't expecting whatever happened to be.
Well,
that
what
big.
it was the effects of just like the sparking of the housekeeping cart and whatnot. And she just wasn't expecting it, just for her reaction, just going, "Oh crap!"
Yeah,
had to catch myself there.
yeah. No, it's all right. Yeah, she's like, "What the heck are you doing?" There's like, "Sorry, we thought you were someone else."
Yes, this proton nuclear accelerator. I'm just casually around, and I think I hear something, and I'm just gonna pull the trigger. Discipline. Gun discipline.
Yeah, it's so right before this, right? They're in the elevator going up, and Pierre's just like, "Yeah, we're ready." Each one of us is carrying an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on our backs.
Yep.
Ray's just like, "Yeah, okay, switch me on." Egon switches it on. They're like slowly backing
away just because they don't know what in the name of God is gonna happen.
Yeah, it's so funny, and Ray's like, "I think we should split up." Peter's just like, "Yeah, we could do more damage that way."
That is the exact reaction I would be having. Like, Look, I always want to say I'm Ray if in our friend group, but we all know I'm Venkman. I'm the guy who's going to be wisecracking and just being a smart ass the whole time.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, for sure. And it's funny you say that, because for me, I feel like I'd be Egon. Because
well, I'd say you'd be a different type of Egon. You wouldn't be as as muted emotion.
No.
But the science guy, I could see.
Yeah, because I always identify. It's like the four Ghostbusters each represent like a personality, and I always identified myself the most with Egon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's more like, he takes what he does seriously, which is what I do. He remembers a lot of it, like a lot of crucial information. I also do that. And he's pretty chill about most things, which I am too for the most part. Just he has all these things that I can relate to.
And then you also have a very happy trigger finger.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, just gonna jump ahead a few scenes. So,
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
You when they're in the ballroom and just shooting endlessly, even though the ghost is gone.
Yeah, and Peter's like, whoa, nice shooting, Tex.
That is literally one of my favorite lines of all time.
Here's the thing, though. Right after this is my favorite Harold Ramis read. The way he read this line, Peter's like, "Okay, I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad?" Egon's explaining, and there's one safety tip I forgot to tell you: don't cross the streams.
And then his delivery of just how, "Oh, we'll just blow up New York if we don't do this right."
Try to imagine all life as you know is stopping instantaneously, and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light. Just the way he reads that,
it's just so straight to the point, just so blunt. Just like, "Oh, you're just gonna blow up."
Bray's just like, protonic reversal. Pierre's like, "Okay, that's bad. Okay, good steady tip. Thanks, Egon."
Yeah, it's just so passive aggressive.
Yeah, it's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's a possibility you might blow up if we cross them. So I recommend not doing that." Okay, seems like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's the thing. The next part I was wanting to get into. So let's talk about Dina and Lewis for a minute. So.
Oh God.
So okay, I gotta admit though, dude. The Lewis character. I don't think his character aged well in this.
Oh no, it did not.
I did not catch this. He was stalking Dana 100%.
How do you not catch that? That is the only thing he's doing. Anytime he hears her door open or close, whenever she is walking by, he is obviously looking out the peephole, waiting to see if she's there.
Yeah, like literally, it's like I can imagine him. He's like at the door, looking through that little like glass,
the hole, yeah,
the hole, just waiting. Where is she? Where is she? There she is. You know, it's just like, could you be any more creepy, my guy? You know?
Yep.
And on top of that, I find him to be a little annoying.
Oh, he's most definitely.
But I feel like that's what he was supposed to be, though. The character.
It was the way. God, what was his name? Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. He was playing the character, like being nerdy, very awkward and whatnot.
Sure.
And it comes off as very creepy with the fact that he obviously can't take a hint that Dina doesn't want anything to do with him.
Like poor Dina, like this scene, like right before she gets possessed by the dog,
when she's trying to sneak by the door.
Yeah, it's just like when you get to that point, it's like you gotta tell, like, listen, this has got to stop, you know?
Yeah.
And but Dana though, like, dude, early '80s Sigourney Weaver, like, oh my gosh, she was
please don't thirst over Sigourney Weaver on your podcast, please.
All right, I'm fine. Okay, I won't. I'm just gonna say she was very gorgeous. I'll leave it at that. There.
Yeah, if you start thirsting over this, I will end this podcast right here and there. I will storm out that door. I swear to God.
No, I need my guest.
Yeah, but anyway, like back to like with Lewis. Just think, did you know they were originally going to cast John Candy in that role?
Yeah, I was really going to say that to you, but he turned it down for the reasons.
Didn't. No, he didn't turn it down. There was creative differences between him and the rest of the crew.
Really?
Like,
okay.
John Candy thought it'd be funny to like give him like this Russian accent and just being a real creep.
Mm-hmm.
And whatnot, and that's not the type of thing they wanted to do with Lewis.
Right. Okay.
Because like you can look in the storyboards, if you can find them anywhere. They drew Lewis to be like almost in John Candy's figure and whatnot.
Okay.
And his likeness.
Right.
But so like part of you is always going to wonder what would this film have been like if John Candy was playing Lewis.
Yeah, and also while we're on this subject, so Peter Venkman originally was supposed to be for John Belushi.
Oh, well, here's the thing. We're actually like that's actually a lot more because the original 3 Ghostbusters, when Dan Aykroyd wrote this, it was originally going to be him, Eddie Murphy, and Belushi.
Okay.
Like he wrote the whole thing about that. Like it was never going to be Harold. It was never going to be Bill. There was never going to be Ernie. Like it was just going to be those 3.
Right.
But then Belushi tragically passed away. So they and Dan just didn't feel right on having the character still be written for Belushi and whatnot, so they had to rework the character, and that's when it became available. And even when they were writing it, they weren't thinking, oh, we're going to give this to Bill Murray. They didn't start thinking of future casting and whatnot until the rewrites between Ivan, Harold, and Dan, where during that was when they decided Harold would also play one of the Ghostbusters. And then they were trying to think. They were just like, okay, with the budget we have, I don't think we can afford Eddie Murphy.
No, so they had to find someone else a little bit like lower budget, not very well known.
And
at that point.
And they also wanted to pull someone from SNL to play the comedy pretty well. So that's when they thought of Bill.
Okay.
And Bill Murray came on, and just the thing, like, Bill was definitely not the easiest to work with during the pre-production.
No.
Because, like during all the pre-stuff, like, Bill was not really answering because I believe he was in Paris on vacation or whatnot, and he was not returning any calls or even just confirming, yes, I'll be there and whatnot. So there's, like, is it going to work? But I believe it was Harold who kept vouching for him. Oh, Bill's going to be there. He's going to be there. And then the day before filming, they still got no word. But then 8 a.m. the next day, Bill's there, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool, though, because around this time, I think Ghostbusters, like, I'm going to look up something. I don't think Bill did that many movies. I think this was the movie that made him, like, a big star, I'm pretty sure.
The only film that I know for certain that Bill did before Ghostbusters was Meatballs, but that's only because that was his first big budget film with Harold.
Yeah, and he also did Caddyshack in 1980.
Yep, Caddyshack. So, yeah, those are the only ones that I know he did before Ghostbusters, but I don't think he did much else.
And and you also have Stripes in '81, which he also did with Ramis.
With Harold.
Yeah, so he had those. You have Meatballs in '79. So yeah, he had a few films under his belt before this, but I think this is the one that really took him.
It made him a household name.
Oh yeah, 100%, without a doubt. There, so yeah.
God, let's see. Then back into characters and whatnot. The character of Winston was actually originally supposed to be in the film much earlier in the original script that they started filming off of.
Right.
Winston was supposed to enter the story around page 27. So around the 27-minute mark of the film was when Winston was originally going to be introduced. And the famous scene when Bill gets slimed, yeah, that was originally Winston.
Oh, so Winston was going to get slimed originally.
Yeah,
okay.
Winston originally had a much, much bigger role, but naturally with script rewrites, budgeting, and how they were doing the story, he eventually got pushed back into not being until the very latter half of the film.
Yeah, I have to admit though, that was a negative for me. I wish they'd introduced him earlier because due to him showing up so much later in the film, he didn't show up on any of the promotional. Yeah, posters.
He kind of felt like he just suddenly showed up.
Yeah, I understand he was a guy looking for a job, but I feel like they waited a little too long. He was in the movie for the final 40, 30 minutes.
You can let's see, let's count which scenes where Winston has spoken lines. His entry scene. The Twinkie scene. Him and Ray in the car. The Keymaster scene, prison, the mayor's office, shouting "I love this town."
Yeah, and then a lot of his dialogue during the final battle in general.
But he didn't really have a lot of dialogue.
No, not really though. He had some memorable scenes.
Yes, and even then, he didn't get as much in Ghostbusters 2 even.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I loved about Afterlife. It's they really made him a more important character. Well, he has the money. He's reopening the business.
Well, he didn't have as much in the Afterlife because it's not about the original Ghostbusters. It's about Phoebe, Finn, podcast, and everyone else. Right. But how it looks like in the new sequel, he's going to play a much bigger role because I believe Ernie is he's always loved the Ghostbusters IP and whatnot, and he wants to be more part of it. Take out in the Ghostbusters video game, Winston has much more prevalence in the story. It feels like how he was meant to be.
Exactly, and I have to admit though, so back on topic, we were talking about when Dana was introduced. So after the Lewis scene, so we get a little later on in the film to where her and Lewis get possessed by Gozer's dogs, and
the Keymaster and Gatekeeper.
And dude, those dog effects.
Here's the thing, when I last rewatched Ghostbusters, Dana's possession scene, it is genuinely a horror movie at that point.
Yeah, that whole scene's actually very creepy because when the hands come out of the chair,
dude, even before that, when she's talking to her mother and the camera is panning around her apartment in her chair, and then it ends with with her sitting, and then the kitchen's in the background. You see the light coming from under there. You look, then it has the weird distortion effects, the dog's looking through the door and whatnot. Then the hands appear, grab her, turn her to the door. You see the dog and it pulls her right in. And I'm just it's so much, and it was just such great film. It's not something that just happens in a film. That's genuine horror inspiring. Camera work and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Did you also notice? So Lewis gets possessed by the Keymaster, and he's the one who kept locking himself out of his apartment.
Yeah,
so that's kind of ironic.
Yeah, that's just it. But it's probably also a funny thing to think about how the one thing that especially Ivan couldn't think of what to do is the phrases for Keymaster and Gatekeeper. He could never figure out how it would work and whatnot. And it was actually Sigourney Weaver who came up with the dog idea. That was not originally anyone's idea. It was Sigourney's idea.
That's crazy.
Because
wow.
Because also they never originally intended to pitch the thing the role of Dana to Sigourney Weaver. Like, they made it, the casting director made it clear when they were doing this, they wanted Dana to be played by someone who would have good chemistry with Bill. Mm-hmm. But when they found out Sigourney Weaver was interested in the film, they were just like, oh, nope, no one else. We're taking Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought her and Bill had chemistry.
Oh yes, and that was just the best part. It was just like they got both worlds. They got a very well-known actor, and she actually had really good chemistry with Bill.
Yeah, she really did, and she really added something to the film. You know, she's just an everyday New Yorker just living life.
Everyday New Yorker who's a celloist in the New York Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, and her living in that extremely expensive apartment that she clearly could not afford.
Oh, no. She 100% could. When she is a regular, reliable chair in an orchestra like that, you are getting paid big bucks. She
really?
could. She 100%, especially in 1989... 884 economy, she 100% could have afforded that apartment.
Okay.
Like, it's just think, it's not even that much. It's bedroom, bathroom, living space, kitchen. That's all that's in her apartment.
Right.
Like, it's a standard apartment, like what would be expected as common living in that time outside of a studio apartment.
True. So I'm trying to think of another scene. So we talked about the dog scene, how some of the effects don't... They obviously...
talk about effects that don't age well?
Yeah, because... there wasn't that many in this. So I think the scene where the dog that's trying to possess Lewis, when it jumps into his apartment onto the table...
Basically just like anything that had the dogs like really moving, yeah, it was a bit hard, but it's just like... computer effects weren't as advanced as they were, so there was a very clear outline, and it was very clearly not there. But it just made up for it when they had the animatronic prop for the dogs.
Oh yeah, dude, the animatronic dogs were scary as heck. Those aged beautifully. They look great.
Well, yeah, it's just because they're practical.
Like, it's there,
like
real deal.
If the dogs were only CGI, it would not have worked that well.
No,
like
it wouldn't.
Like the dogs would just been like watching it, and nowadays just like, that looks so bad.
Yeah, and also a fun fact, I did not know this. Did you know that the TV host Larry King had a cameo in this?
Yes.
I did not yet, because he was the one talking about. He was a radio DJ.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was him until just now.
Just now, when you look up the casting list.
Yeah, I had no idea. Well, when I watched it over the summer, I'm like, wait a minute, is that Larry King? And I'm like, yep, that's him.
Larry.
Oh man. So we cut a later on in the film. So Lewis and Dana have now been possessed by the dogs, and here's another thing about the film that didn't age well. There is a lot of dirty jokes in this that go under the radar. You know what I mean?
I don't think that those didn't age well. It's just because, like, as we're adults and whatnot, we see them much more. Like,
yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like I had no idea. There's some stuff in here that went completely over my head. When
like
I was
the
younger.
fact that the gatekeeper and keymaster are.
Yeah, like they.
They do the horizontal tango.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, but and like the scene where Peter goes to see Dana and she's possessed.
Oh god, like there are some lines in there I never knew what they meant. Then I watched them as an adult and I'm just like, oh my god, and this movie is PG?
Yeah, like kids are allowed to watch this. You know, like we're not gonna go into detail, but
no, because you like to keep this podcast PG, but if like I keep saying, you got to make a Patreon, make the R version where we're allowed to just go off the rails.
Just uncut, yeah. And I like the part when possessed Dana uses her real voice. There is no Dana, only Zool. What a lovely singing voice you have there.
Yep. And you can just tell Venkman is freaking the heck out.
Yeah, he's just like. I like how when he's nervous, he just says, like, these funny things.
Like I said, he's the type of person that, like, just when things get high stress or just scary as heck, he's just going to be cracking jokes to keep him calm.
Yeah, and I gotta admit, though, dude, so So the next part in the story, right? So the scene where, dude, I'll tell you what though. Another huge scene, and I'm a fan of, is when Pack orders them to turn the containment unit off.
Oh god, that is a really good scene.
Because I love the effects in it. You know, it's just like when it gets turned off, it's like it turns into literally a bomb.
Well, yeah,
The effect of the firehouse getting destroyed as the ceiling bursts open and all the ghosts come shooting out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the effects for that aged very well. And
it's great filmmaking and whatnot. And you know, I always like to think about this with the actor who played Peck. He gets known as, after like that and Die Hard, he got known as just like the go-to jerk character in Hollywood, and he even admits, "Oh, I loved it. It was funny."
Yeah, like he fully embraced that. I mean, I like that a lot. You know, just like there's some people who are just
he's a
good
very
at playing-
down to earth, just like, "Oh, I'm go-to for the jerk." I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like I've even noticed that in my acting class here. Like I gravitate towards the evil characters. Like for God's sakes. My Up All Night performance, I played Jessup from A Few Good Men. Now you have me playing the devil for my next monologue.
You know, devil's advocate. It's like, Aiden needed a new monologue. Like, hey, I got just the thing for you.
Devil's advocate, Al Pacino. You're playing Satan.
Yeah. I thought you'd like it.
Oh, it's a good monologue.
Yeah. Man, devil's advocate, though. We could talk about that.
Oh, we gotta one of these days.
That'd be a good one. And, so the ghosts get released and the Ghostbusters get arrested. I gotta admit though, like right before they get arrested, when Egon snaps and he grabs Pack, it's just like, oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, the
like,
cool-headed scientist finally snaps.
Yeah,
and he just goes, "I'm gonna kill you, you sucker!"
Yeah, it just grabs them. It's so funny. It's like even Egon has a breaking point, you know.
Yep.
Like, and I also loved how they paid respect to that in Afterlife with his granddaughter Phoebe. She literally has a scene where at the police station, the main police guy says a very nasty remark
about Egon.
So she grabs the proton pack, turns
and just goes,
on.
"Ooh, I'm gonna kill some police officers!"
Yeah. Like, she snaps just like him. So I'm like, it's funny that it carried over into her. So that was pretty cool. So they get arrested, and I love the scene, right, where they're looking over the blueprints of Dana's apartment, and they realize this building was structured
intentionally for this purpose of opening the door to the ghost world and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a cool concept. Like Igor Shandor was the architect and all that. It was such a cool concept. It really was.
No, it was really good. And then the funny thing of just like the other prisoners, they're just like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting. What are they talking about?"
They're all sitting here listening. Peter's like, "Is everybody paying attention?"
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's so
that
awesome.
Whole scene I love.
And dude, I like Peter when they're taken out to the mayor's office and to discuss like what's happening, and
I can't say the jokes.
Yeah, I know, and unfortunately, but I love the way Peter convinces him to let them handle the ghost problem at the building. He's like, "You will save millions of unregistered voters." Millions of registered voters.
Because what's the point of unregistered voters?
Yeah, right. I don't know why I said that. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, he convinces the mayor to let them handle the problem. And I love the intro scene to where they are driving Ecto 1 to the building with saving the day,
or just
saving the day.
Oh, or just Venkman, like right as the police and National Guard guy, she's like, "Come on, let's run some red lights."
Oh man, could they have made a more better of an entrance? You got the National Guard driving next to you on the way there. It's just, you get an escort. It's so awesome.
Then the street collapse, they go in just like, "Yeah, we're good, we're revved up, let's go beat this ghost."
They do the thing where they all do the high five where they place the hands on top of each other. Let's do this.
and then climbing the stairs. And like as a kid, I'm just like, oh, that's not that bad. Then I think about in our building when the elevators go out and us just having to climb 8 flights of stairs.
Yeah, like, and we have to carry the heavy backpacks with all of our stuff.
Well, your backpack's heavier than mine because you carry like your textbooks and whatnot. I just have a few notebooks, my book I'm reading, my journal, and my tablet. I don't have much in my bag.
Right, but I understand where they're coming from. I like how they're like, Pierce, like, which floor are we on now?
We're in the teens.
Okay, let me know when we get to 20.
I'm gonna throw up.
Oh, it's so good.
Yep.
So they walk all the way up to the top, and they get onto the roof, and that's when we see Dana and Lewis turn into the dogs. Ray, I like that scene because Ray looks over at Peter. Peter's just like, okay, so she's a dog.
Yeah. And so many jokes I can make about this. Why isn't this podcast rated R?
I know. Yeah, so for anyone listening, Aiden is struggling right now. He has to filter himself. It's so funny.
I filter myself naturally on a day, but every time I'm on your podcast, I have to do it more and more and more and more.
Yeah,
and when we do movies like this that have so many innuendos and jokes like this, I can't do it.
And off camera right now, he's literally aiming a pen at my head.
I'm going to keep doing this until you make the rated R version.
Oh, man. So, yeah, non-sponsored. You can find the unfiltered version of this on Patreon. Please
Wait, are you actually doing it? No, seriously.
Maybe.
Dude, the second you do that, I'm there, and I will show up to every single episode you do.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk to Jeff to see if I can...
See if he's good about it.
If I could do something like that, maybe I'll bring it up to him. But,
yeah, do it, because like I said, I will be there, and it will be glorious.
Yeah, so, dude, the rooftop scene when they fight Gozer, it's so awesome. I love the shot of them walking towards the glass staircase as she walks out of that
It's like, get
building.
your sticks. Oh.
Yeah, like, light them up, go. Let's show this prehistoric jerk how we do things downtown. Just, so good.
Yes.
And,
You know, can I mention what Ray says about her with the... Can I even say that one? Because it's not bad when she dodges them and they shoot her at her for the second time. Can I say that?
No, go ahead.
When Ray just says, aim for the flat top!
I thought he was referring to the haircut.
Oh no! That is not what he was referring to!
Oh, I thought he was referring to like the flat top as in the haircut.
Oh god, no, dude. He was aiming for this.
Oh. I did not realize that. See, it's like one of those other like subtle jokes that you don't catch.
Especially when you're an innocent child like this poor guy.
Yeah.
Audience, would you believe that this guy's older than me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that. Anyway,
Am I now kicked off the show?
Here, hold on, pause. Hey, producers, can we get a new guest, please?
No, I will not leave here.
Anyway, so okay, dude. Now we're at the best part. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh god,
man, where do we start with this?
You know, first just like how in the original test screening of Ghostbusters, how just the concept of Ghostbusters really sat with Stay Puft really sat with viewers. So when they gave the first test footage before the visual effects were finished, the only image they had of Stay Puft was that little like partial headshot of him walking between the buildings and whatnot before we see his full body and Ray says who it is. Mm-hmm. That was all they had. Like the scene where he comes out in front of the parkways and whatnot, that was completely empty. Seeing the people just running around, there was no Stay Puft. But audiences were sort of like, oh my god, I can't wait to see this in the actual film.
Right.
And I'm just like, and still, it's so glorious because it's just so funny. It's so over the top. I'm just like, yeah, no, we're not fighting this demon lord. We're fighting a giant marshmallow.
Oh man, dude, I just like it. You're just like, look, and then he's like,
it can't be. What is it? It can't be.
What did you do, Ray? Oh my gosh! And Ray's response is just that look on his face. It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Peter, there's something you don't see every day. I try to think of the most harmless thing, something I love from my childhood, something that could never ever harm us. Mr. Stay Puft. Nice thinking, Ray.
Well, here's the thing. Just think, out of all the creatures they could have fought, a giant marshmallow is probably the best idea.
Right. Because Peter realizes, okay, if we think of like J.F. Groover will appear and destroy us. So empty your heads.
Can we also acknowledge he thinks about that right then and there, but J. Edgar Hoover is not who they fight.
Yeah.
Even though he's obviously thinking about it right then and there, and you want to tell me no one else was thinking of something, that Ray was the only one thinking, who can I do?
Right. It's so funny. So yeah, Stay Puft walks out. Dude, the effects for him though, they look great for 84. You know?
Like especially like it's just the reason why I feel like the movements of Stay Puft worked better than the dogs is because Stay Puft had a lot less detail. He was a completely round and flat marshmallow.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Compared to like with the dogs, they were trying to emulate muscles, faster movements, and whatnot.
Yeah. And dude, another cool thing this movie did, I didn't catch this till a couple years ago. The movie foreshadows Stay Puft twice.
Well, no, it doesn't really foreshadow Stay Puft that he's gonna be the final boss. Essentially, what they do is they say that Stay Puft exists in this world. Like,
right?
Like it's a brand and whatnot.
Yeah, like Dana. The first time we see her, she just came back from the market. She goes up to her apartment. She sets her bag down, lays out some items on the counter, and one of them is
a pack of Stay Puft marshmallows.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it. I mean, maybe it's not like foreshadowing. Maybe it's just like hinting, "Hey, look, this is a thing."
Well, it's
Keep
just
this in mind for
like
later.
it's a thing that it's just like, wait, what Stay Puft marshmallow? Is that a thing? But it's just like it may
yeah.
not be a thing in the world, but they show just in like things in the background that this is the brand of marshmallows they have.
Right, and dude, like this scene where he climbs up on the roof, like. You know the scene where Egon's like, okay, let's cross the streams. If the door shuts both ways, we could destroy the park.
Yeah, you don't have to go into the full science of it, man.
Okay.
You cannot quote entire scenes of this film until I'm allowed to go all out.
Okay.
If I have to hold back, you have to too.
Dang it, fine. Goes both ways, fine. Anyway, so, dude, did you ever notice in the background when Stay Puft's looking at them?
Yes.
Dude, he looks creepy as heck.
He's just like...
I didn't realize how scary he looked, you know? Like...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, that whole scene was... Like, you know, they're crossing streams, right? You see him in the background with this creepy
just like,
facial...
yeah, they're gonna do it!
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yep.
So they cross all four of the streams together, which really detonates an explosion on the roof.
Well, they blew up the entire roof, essentially.
Yeah, and then it cuts to them like right after. So the sky clears, everything's good. Cuts all.
They're covered in completely melted marshmallow and not getting third-degree burns.
Yeah, like the scene where Peck's on the street and that like
and all that the marshmallow melted marshmallow just lands on him, just like. He would need to go to the hospital after that.
Like, that would have been burning his skin off of him. Like, his clothes would have been on fire. Like,
no, it wouldn't have been on fire. It's just the heat would melt his clothing and, like, he'd get third-degree burns and the clothing would just be melted to his skin.
Yeah, that would not have ended well for him in real life. But no. And fun fact... did you ever notice how Peter barely had any marshmallow on him?
Yes.
So history for you. When earlier on in the film, when Peter got slimed, Bill hated that scene.
I am not surprised that Bill hated that.
Bill hated filming that. Apparently after that scene, he said that I am never doing anything like that again, or I'm leaving production.
So then they had to cop out and just like, here, but we have to have a little bit of marshmallow on you, Bill, but we're not going to completely cover you.
Yeah, everybody else is covered everywhere in marshmallow. He shows up. He has a little bit on his shoulder and head. That's it.
Yeah.
Because apparently his hiding spot was underneath something, so he crawls out from underneath, and that's supposed to explain.
Look, it's just Bill's a little diva. He's a special snowflake.
Yeah, he has that person. That's just how he is.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard he's a very generous, good guy, but he does have those.
He's a diva.
Diva, yeah, you could say that. And then I love the ending scene where Peter gets the girl, they kiss, they load off the proton packs, the song's playing, you see the credits rolling and everything, and they drive away.
Drive into the sunset until next year, when they go out of business.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the end of Ghostbusters. And dude, I'm telling you, this movie, like, I want to rewatch it again just talking about it. It's such an amazing picture.
Not tonight, maybe when you get back to campus after you come home next weekend.
Something like that. I'd love to rewatch it again. And I gotta say, though, man, this movie, I would dare call it a masterpiece almost. I think it's close. I think it's close.
It is an amazing, timeless film, but for me, it doesn't go into masterpieces because masterpieces are always films that also say something. They give a message, and Ghostbusters just isn't that. And like I said at the beginning, that is not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. Honestly, it does have things in it that I think are very inspiring. How they didn't let people tell them what they couldn't do. It's like, okay, you kick us out of this university, we'll just go into business for ourselves. You know, like, it's kind of like, I don't let setbacks like ruin your like
like
your
that.
career,
But I'm just like, it doesn't have like a central theme or a central thing it's trying to show, it's trying to say. It's just trying to be entertaining, and that is 100% okay. Because just like to truly enjoy films to its fullest potential, you have to be able to have a switch when you have the film that you're watching for genuine like art or whatnot, or the one that's meant to entertain. If you don't have that switch, then you can't truly enjoy film.
Yeah, you're right.
And Ghostbusters is one that goes into one that's just trying to be entertaining. It's not trying to be anything more than that.
Oh no! And as a movie, it holds up.
Exactly.
It
like
holds,
I said, it is where it absolutely should be, in the category of timeless.
Yeah. Oh, as far as timeless goes, it's there 100%. And I just want to say that I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'm so happy that I got to have my awesome friend Aiden back on. I love doing episodes with this guy. He's one of my greatest friends here at Eastern. I just love talking movies with him, and it's like I just love having him on. And do you have fun when you're on here?
Oh, I have fun, but I'm just having trouble with the filter.
Oh, right.
So like I said, the moment you make the R-rated version of this podcast, I will be here every day, no questions asked, and I will make this thing more popular than you could even dream.
I'll have to think.
I will carry you to greatness.
It's so funny to me. It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit back. I'm gonna let Aiden carry my career.
Just
oh, the beep. Oh, it's so funny. So I just want to say, hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy this episode. I am Dr. Taylor.
I'm Dr. Grady.
We are the Ghostbusters.
Film reviewers.
Or, I'll take it back. We are the film reviewers. There we go.
You should have planned that out more.
Oh, come on. I was trying. I want to be a Ghostbuster.
No, you mentioned it before we did this, but you needed to say what you want to say, because are we the Ghostbusters or are we the film reviewers?
Right. Okay. We are the film reviewers. There. I corrected myself. Made it work.
Do you want a cookie?
Yes, I do. White chocolate, macadamia nuts. I want Subway cookies. I want them now.
Sorry, you want anything more than Chips Ahoy cookies I got? You're not getting anything else. Go spend your own money. Just because you bought me my birthday shot doesn't mean I'm paying for everything for you.
Dang it. I was really hoping.
Sorry.
Oh, man. All right. Well, see you around. This is DJ Apollo.
And I'm Aiden Grady.
Here on the Tales of Music and Film.